Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Mylo Mansion. Today with two guests, two legends.
Oh, thank you.
The legends of artist coaching in the Netherlands. Otten and Jeffrey Lens. You guys probably know Jeffrey if you've been checking out the previous episodes.
Exactly.
Thank you for being here, first
course.
of all.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, nice to be here.
I mean, just to jump straight in, the two of you guys have a past.
Yes, we have. Yes, we
That
do.
sounds exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, it is kind of exciting,
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was exciting as well, that pass, you know?
Sure.
We,
Yeah.
I know some people probably know about the Herman Academy.
They should. Yeah.
It's been made famous by a good friend of all of us,
Yeah.
For sure.
which you guys probably also know.
Yeah. That we know for sure.
Yeah.
They know.
I don't know. I've never actually been there, never studied there, but I've always heard so many stories about it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of friends that I know have studied there and have always told me like the craziest experience and how wild it was to be like, what is it, like 16, 17 probably when
Yeah,
you were
something
there?
like that. Yeah.
And just like get out of high school and just be working on music all of a sudden all day long.
Yeah, that was crazy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's still going. Like, it's still super popular and people are loving the school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was such a like you're saying, like what you're used to of at going at school is like working hard, having some subjects that you don't like, and spending a lot of time forced to be in school. But there, it's not being forced at all. You're just able to work on your dreams, literally. And of course, you have to do some subjects on the side to maintain like your English level and. Some other stuff as well.
Like math. Some of the things
Yeah.
on that level of education are obligated by the government.
Exactly.
But still, you get...
And rightfully so, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But you get them in a way that it connects to
Yeah.
the music.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that made it so crazy, to be able to work. Like it's super chill to be doing that if you're working for yourself already, but it's even better if you're in a school with like-minded people all around you. And just having fun, being able to sit in a super tiny booth with two car speakers and just a laptop and just having fun, and the stuff that we were supposed to do was also fun, being creative and challenging yourself. So that was it was a crazy 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's kind of also how Martin, who we were talking about, of course, how we got to know about the Herman Academy, because Julian was in my class, and Martijn was still in normal high school, but Julian was constantly telling him like, "Hey, Monday morning, I was producing.
Yeah,
What were you
exactly.
doing?"
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that kind of convinced Martijn.
He came so quickly after.
Yes.
Like, he was convinced right away.
Yep.
Obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I think that's something for me personally that I discovered like way later on in like my career, that like being around like-minded people and just like in general with making music, by just not like sitting in a studio just by yourself, but just like being in a room with other producers, songwriters, whatever, a guitar player, whatever, just being able to have fun all together.
Exactly.
And like instead of just it almost becoming like a, which obviously don't get me wrong, it's still fun to sit behind your laptop by yourself and like mess around with a kick drum for 10 hours.
I think that was also the kind of the rules that we taught ourselves, like in the beginning for the younger generation, thinking like, all right, we have to do everything ourselves, so we have to be in the studio ourselves. We cannot check their laptop too much because they're their secrets. And right now, those rules are a bit gone, luckily. And I hope for the younger generation as well, because that just makes no sense. It's super important to collaborate if you're making art.
Yeah, it's also very Dutch, I think, to think, okay, I have to do everything myself.
That could also be true.
Once the dance music market became more mature, there was, of course, more money and there was more possibility to do collaborations. And now it looks much more like the American market, I would say, indeed, where you're collaborating much easier and more.
Yeah, people are less. I mean, I don't know. That's how it felt for me. It almost felt like you're like cheating a bit.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Yeah,
doing a test and you're like looking at your neighbor making the test as well, and you're kind of like cheating.
Yeah.
But also using sample packs back in the days.
Yeah.
Was already like, oh shit, you shouldn't be using a sample pack. You should make all those samples yourself, and you should make your kicks yourself and everything. It's.
I still come across people in my coachings that are truly trying to do everything themselves. It's like,
it's a very noble thing to do.
Yeah, and it can make your sound super individual, super original.
Yeah.
Especially in drum and bass, you see that like everyone wants to have like a fully fledged new synthesized kick drum and snare. Yeah, every time.
And I think for hardstyle that goes as well. I think that they are. That's why the production level is so high there, because they are able to do pretty much everything themselves. Mm-hmm. That's kind of crazy as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's something to say for both.
Yeah, exactly.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But I also notice a lot that like if you're not overthinking all the technical things too much, I mean, obviously you have to have some level of knowledge and like to make something sound good and like have it like being quality.
Yeah.
But it also kills like the creativity a lot
for sure
by overthinking all that stuff so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I often say about the coachings again, like the biggest thing that I'm focusing on in these sessions is trying to get basically the knowledge or the rules, you were mentioning rules, out of the people.
Right.
So they go back to feeling the music while creating it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did during COVID, I had like a sample pack I released with Stamped.
Nice.
And there was also like a deluxe version which included like an hour one-on-one kind of masterclass with me, and I kind of like, well, whatever they wanted to do basically, but it was like, I had one guy that was like literally just starting out with music, and he just wanted to like ask anything and just, you know, wanted to get like knowledge. And also some people I really went into like their project files and really went in deep. But it's funny to see like how people, and you guys probably have that all the time, but like some people have like sort of like some image in their head of how it should be, and they're like very stuck in like that place. And I think that's like probably the first thing maybe that's good to do to get them, what you were saying, like get that image away and really just make music for making music.
I call these this generation, I call them rule collectors, this generation of producers. I mean, YouTube is incredible, right?
Whoa, that's an old picture of me, man.
We just got a new picture on the screen here.
Can we fast
Who's
forward
this handsome
this
guy?
Wow, dude. Yo, this is actually my time at the Herman Brood Academy, I think. Dude, this is the worst picture ever.
Love it.
Nice. But as I was saying, I call them rule collectors because ever since, especially YouTube, providing all this knowledge to take in, you know, I noticed that most artists, most producers try to get as much knowledge in and then act as if those are set rules.
Right.
You have to, I don't know, you have to high pass all your channels. That's a famous one.
Because they heard it somewhere, sometime.
And also, there are YouTube channels that will tell you that this is the thing you need to do, which is very problematic in my view. But rule collectors, so they think, as long as I collect enough rules, I will create hits. And I think the three of us know you will create music. But almost certainly not hits, not great tracks.
No.
I think for the beginning it's good to collect those rules basically, and then at some point try to reevaluate those rules and see if they still work for you. And from then on you think, okay, this one works for me, this one not, and then you create kind of your own perspective on it. And I think from that point on you start to be more loose and be more creative in the studio as well. So collecting those rules are kind of good for the beginning, I would say, but don't hold on too tight to them, I would say.
Yeah, and that's the challenging part. I agree, that's the challenging part, where you're going to transition into being that producer that can let go of what you were always doing.
Yeah, exactly. But that's also the reason why you need someone, not necessarily a coach per se, but also maybe like another producer or something to have a conversation with, to see if those rules still make sense. Because on your own, you cannot always come up with these, with letting loose of those, of letting go of those rules. So it's good to talk to multiple people about the way you go about the production process or being an artist or whatever. I
mean, I think that's also why it's always good to be like socializing with other artists. I mean, that's me and like the whole gang, Martijn, Julian, Mesto, like all the guys, they kind of like all grew up together, being artists and being producers, and like always bouncing stuff off each other. It's probably one of the best things you can do. And even like, you know, there's like so much things going on online, like what's the chat room thing again called that everyone uses?
Discord, you mean?
Discord, yeah exactly. Where you can just like, you know, socialize with producers and like just have fun, like you were like sitting in a room with people and like play your stuff to other people and socialize.
For sure. Yeah, that helps so much.
So much.
And we are so lucky with ADE, of course. Like we're super close to Amsterdam right now even. I think most of us live in Amsterdam. Lots of people to meet and to get inspired by.
Absolutely. Just to dive in history, you were teaching on the Herman Brood Academy.
Correct.
Connection also.
Yes, for sure.
What were you doing? Like, how did you end up there? Actually, I'm kind of curious because I also even don't know this, even though I know you.
Well, actually, the first teaching job I had was at Rock Academy. A guy I worked with as a producer invited me to become a teacher there. And I don't know how, but someone got word of that, and then I got invited to start a new department at the Herman Brood Academy, which was dance producer. So, and then I got to come up with all these lessons and.
But he was a trance legend before that even as well. That's what you're forgetting now. It's not like poof, you all of a sudden you are a teacher or something, but you.
Yeah, and I was actually studying something completely different, like business engineering and management science. And once that was out of the way, I would almost say, then I focused more on production for myself, but also teaching. Yeah.
Trance legend.
Yeah, he was.
Well, I think trance.
Right?
Did you know my music before then?
No, I did not. That's true. But I wasn't that much into trance, so
No, but that's how we met. Indeed, I had the fortune to be Jeffrey's coach for a bit. Yeah, it was super fun. I mean, your class was amazing, right?
Yeah, I mean, my only perspective was that class because that's the only class I've been in. But looking back on it right now, it's crazy to see how far everybody has come and what kind of people has been in that class. And not only in that class, because also years later and years before that as well. You still see people coming up, and I see like a video of a DJ playing like a super big gig, or Colijn, for instance. I thought like, I know his face. Probably it's Herman Brood Academy, and yes, it was. It's so crazy where everybody is not necessarily at the time when we were there breaking through, but you see people afterwards. Like it's like the foundation that we set there. It's so important for the later years, and that's what we're seeing as well. You know, a lot of people breaking through there. So it's really cool, man.
Yeah. I recommend it still. Even though I'm not a teacher there anymore.
Clearly missed out.
Well, to your point, it is the ultimate place. And not the only, by the way. We have the Haarlem Conservatory, where I was teaching after, which is an amazing place as well. But it is the ultimate kind of place to create your network and to experience that fun, exchanging knowledge and music, etc.
Yeah, 100%. And also the fact that the labels that were very hot in our eyes just came to the school to listen to our music. It was just so mind blowing to me as well. I was shaking the whole day that they're there, you know, and you know, those are the small things that you can add, especially here in the Netherlands, where luckily back in time Jorn came to from Spinning came to the Herman Brood Academy, and was like, holy shit, you know, and it's possible because it's just a half an hour drive for him, you know. So yeah, that was something extra, man.
It's wild, like still, like when I'm thinking back to it, like how that big S was like like a magical thing for all of us, like back in the day, like
for sure.
When you get signed to like Spinning, you made it, like wild. Like now that there's actually like one of my covers of a song that I did on Spinning with the big S on
exactly,
it.
yeah.
I don't know, it was just like wild, like how such a hype that was like, in that time.
Yeah, for sure.
But may I ask you, you were mentioning that you were in this group where you were exchanging knowledge, etc. But how did you get into music? And you might have told us 1,000 times already on the podcast. I'm sorry if you did. But
no worries. I'm not sure if I have actually, but I was just like, I started out DJing actually. So I wasn't producing music at all.
You were playing with Martin at like P in Amstelveen?
Yeah. It's like P60 is P60, like a local kind of venue that does like concerts and like, but like very broad, like rock bands, metal bands, but they were also like doing like a kids party for kids like from 12 to 15.
Exactly.
And I was just like DJing in my bedroom, like watching YouTube videos of like Sensation White, Dirty Dutch, like that kind of stuff. And then randomly I knew about like that party at P60, and Martijn was actually like organizing that, and I just reached out to him on, which was like the Dutch version of like Facebook. It's called Hives.
Hives, yeah.
Oh, shit. Yo, can I come DJ at your event one time? And he was like, yeah, sure, just come over to my house and like, kind of like, show me what you got, kind of.
Yeah.
And we'll figure something out. And that was like one of my first like actual like gigs.
Yeah.
And then he was kind of like the one that told me like, if you want to really be serious with DJing, you should start like looking into making your own music as well. That's when I like kind of like picked up FL Studio and just started messing around, and now
crazy,
we're here,
man.
Kind of.
How long are you producing for now?
I would say like 15 years.
15 years, man.
Probably, I think I started when I was like
that's crazy.
13 or something. Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Are you still learning as much as you used to in the back in the days? Would you say?
100%.
Yeah, but still in different areas then, most likely, right?
Different areas, like like small little tricks here and there. Like, I know there's still never like a day when you don't like kind of, even if it's just a small thing, you know, but when you don't discover something new. It's crazy, like how it's endless, basically.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's the beauty of music, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, like maybe, I mean, that's what we were talking about, because it's so insane. It's getting so insanely broad that you also kind of like feel a bit more restricted than back in the days. Like, that's what I'm sometimes struggling with myself still, like trying to find direction. Like when you were like 14, 15, you really had like an idea of like, this is kind of what I want to do.
Yeah.
When you kind of like are past the moment when you just found like your small little niche kind of sound, very clear vision, and now it's, for me personally, it's kind of feeling like it's all over the place musically, which is a beautiful thing.
Exactly.
But also a hard thing.
But that's also kind of the rules, that it comes back to the rules a little bit, where the rules that we all set for each other back in the days actually made sure that there was some kind of a like a bandwagon where everybody could jump on, and it was like a formula to break through. And right now there's not that much of a formula, which makes it a lot harder for people to think like, all right, what do I have to do right now? Then there's not like a specific sound that I have to do. Obviously the techno stuff is right now really popping, but it's not as big as it was like with the big room boom, I would say, or the tech house boom or something, but I think in the end it's good because people just are able to be more free in what they want to create. And
Agreed.
especially with social media nowadays, etc., if you just throw stuff online, the algorithm can pick it up, and you see so many records from nowhere actually breaking through and getting millions of plays and actually being able to do tours and whatever. And so it's the spectrum is way wider, which is also very exciting. But it's the way you look at it, that's the thing. Yeah.
It's almost kind of like we were just talking before this. I call this the democratization of production. I mean, technology is the reason why we're sitting here, probably, right?
Yep.
And the advancement of technology meant that everyone now has a studio. If you have a laptop, if you have a computer, you have a studio. Yeah. You can make a track. And the problem is, if everyone has a studio and more and more people start making music, new trends get jumped on by half of the world. So we were just talking about Stutter House. It sounds like, it seems like it was yesterday that it became popular.
Yeah.
But it's already starting to feel like,
Yeah, fair.
I don't know, everyone's doing Stutter House. So it's kind of biting itself in the ass almost. And now we get to a point, and I totally agree, that, okay, there's no set trend anymore. It's now, how do you say that? Each one to themselves.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, which is weird because like back in the days, now we're like sounding like old people, but it was like it was kind of the feeling of like we're all in this together and we're all like each other's stepping stones, like we're all doing this all together, and now it's like more of everyone is on their own kind of island, which is also cool.
It's super exciting.
It's exciting. You can do whatever you want and still be able to be successful.
But it also had something to it back in the way it was, where the industry was a bit smaller, I would say as well. The amount of people that were able to create good music was a lot smaller, especially since Splice, etc. came along, and people were starting to release all of their samples in sample packs and their sounds in different packs. The level of quality has risen so fast. That's also what I noticed when I actually left Herman Brood Academy, and then a few years later I came back in because I was working at Spinning and we were doing like a demo drop, and I was sitting with like the first class people, and I was like, dude, is this the first class? This is the quality of the mix is so good. And then there's like the obvious difference between like a good team setting up a good melody and like the overall team of the record. That is the thing that will make the difference now. But still, like the mixes and everything, it's insane how well it's been done nowadays.
When you were in the class, Splice wasn't a thing yet.
No, not at all. No. There was just Vengeance packs.
Yes.
That was it. Well, there was more, but I think Vengeance was killing the game.
Kind of like the Kashmir pack is now.
Exactly.
Indeed. Yeah, well put.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man.
Oh man, the amount of times I see Kashmir.
When
a new coachee, new client comes in, it's like, wow.
Cheers to you, Kashmir. You're doing well.
Crazy.
Yeah, but they are crazy good, these samples. And that's what you were talking about. Like even the sample packs, the level became so much higher.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it makes sense as well. Like if there's money to be made, there's a bunch of people to enter the industry that want to make a proper sounding record, and then they just sell their sounds, and then the level gets way higher.
Yeah, and like I said, technology advancement, I mean, even the software. If you listen to soft synth, I don't know if we can go this nerdy here, but like Diva, I mean, I have analog synths, but Diva rivals the analogness of my analog synths.
That's crazy,
So
Yeah, we came up to that point where it's possible to not have that analog thing in front of you, but just have it in your computer, and it sounds as good.
More or less, yeah.
I mean, how fun is that to like just grab your laptop and like all you need is right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
At the same time, you do see a trend where more and more people are starting to go into hardware again.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, yes, we can kind of get the level of analogness. We're not there yet, but it's getting closer.
Will we
and
ever
closer.
know?
I don't know. There's still
hopefully not.
Yeah, maybe it's cool, but exactly that's what I want to say. Like, it's so cool to have this one instrument which might behave a little bit different, like the one someone else has. And like yesterday, I was in the studio making production for myself. At one point, there was a music shop that went bust, and they did like an auction, and I just bought a shit ton of percussion instruments. Like I have like jingle bells, like I think I have 7. You know? It's, like,
Nice.
It's not very useful that per se, but I have all these percussion instruments, and there were also like these wooden flutes. Yesterday I was just recording myself on a wooden flute. No one has exactly that sound.
No, exactly. And if you would have that in your software, you would use it way differently than you would have if you have it in your hand.
Also, yeah. This is one of the biggest challenges for producers now, right now, I would say, to try to find your own sound. And that, of course, you've heard that a million times, but if I break it down, it's like everyone has silent. Everyone has Spire and Serum.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's not going to make you.
No.
So you have to work really hard, basically on every sound in your work, to create an individual sound out of it too. And it can still be using plugins, but what's the type of plugin that you're putting on there? How are you setting it up? And that kind of stuff will make you unique.
Yeah,
true. I mean, sometimes now it even frustrates me a little bit when I'm like making a song that like, I mean, it's not necessarily like exactly the same, but I know like kind of the color of like my own music. And then I'm like, okay, let's try to do something completely different. Yeah. And then I end up listening to it like...
Because like you might get tired of it a little bit yourself as well sometimes. Of course. Yeah.
And just like, you know, you just want to like push yourself.
Yeah.
And then like at the end of the day, I can still hear it's me kind of, which is a good thing. Yeah. But that's not what I was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just say how cool it is that you are so open about that?
Yeah.
I think it's really amazing. Like,
I mean,
it's quite different from Instagram, you know, just opening up about that.
Yeah.
But I can understand. Yeah, I've once said in an interview about when I was still making trance, like I spent the most time in the studio not sounding like myself, like not sounding like the last record. Yeah. But then you want to have like some kind of a link to it.
Yeah, so, like a signature kind of thing. Yeah. True, but that sometimes I think like it's a huge compliment where when people are like, oh yeah, it's a very different record, but it still sounds like you.
Mm-hmm.
And then also sometimes I'm like, well, that's obviously such a compliment, but I want to try something different or like push myself, which is.
Do you sometimes then want to make records that don't sound like you?
I don't know, just for like the experiment of it and just trying to see like if I can like discover something new or like which is I don't know, it's sometimes like a struggle or like a fight I have with myself kind of.
I think a lot of producers have that. They all want to create something that hasn't been done before, and I think it's good that people are trying to push themselves to create something that hasn't been done before, but there's also a reason why people are a fan of you, because they want it to sound like you. And if you go away from that too much and too many times, I would say, obviously, if you do it sometimes a bit this and sometimes a bit that, then it's nice. But if you try so hard to get away from yourself, then it's like, why should the people follow you?
in my coaching sessions, I often made the comparison, like, your music is a product, right? What if I go to the supermarket and I always buy Coca-Cola, and they have like this new type of Coke, and I buy it because I'm a fan of Coca-Cola, but this new type all of a sudden is beer.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happens, right?
True.
If you venture too much out of your
True.
style.
Yeah.
But let me ask you then, have you ever considered taking on an extra alias?
Yeah, exactly.
No, not really. Like, I don't know. I'm then like, I don't know. I just don't want to, like, when I make something, I really feel like it's my thing, and I just want it to be like me also as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's like my little baby. And
Yeah.
I want to like.
Yeah.
Yeah, for some people it works very freeing.
True.
Even though they might not even release that, just the idea like, oh, I can now go completely away from what I was doing. And you can, I think then sometimes it's even possible to connect them, like your artist name presents, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say you see just a Mylo as you as a person, or would you say it's you as a business?
Interesting.
Depends. I feel like in the studio it's me, because like I just love a certain sound. Like we were talking about this, I'm still so in love with like the emotional, like Swedish house mafia, trying to like a dance song, and that can be something a bit more progressive or a bit more like big room or electro or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. But that's still like where my heart's really at. So it's that's really me. And then sometimes obviously when you're doing like business stuff, it's just business, and like when you're just at home cooking dinner, it's like, it turns off obviously, luckily.
No, but that's what a lot of people confuse themselves with, because they see themselves as the artist as they are. So they connect their whole personality to the artist name that they have. Yeah. While I'm not here saying that's good or bad, but you have to be aware of it, because if you are not aware of it, then you are you, like you're saying, you want to try to do something else, etc. And then you say like, I cannot do it under just the Mylo, because I have to do this or I have to do that, and you have to see it separately. You have to satisfy yourself in terms of a creative person. And then you have a business, which is just the Mylo, and that's where you have a certain sound, etc. So it might be a good idea to have an even different name where you release music on, and you can still like interact with them. I completely agree with that, but it separates them a little bit from each other, and that will make it easier for your fans, but maybe even more for you.
True. Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's that could help a lot.
If you listen to what Martin is doing on Area 21, which is obviously also with someone else, so there's a difference there. But I can tell that he feels some kind of freedom in that project. Yeah,
I mean, it's absolutely like his passion project, kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
His playground.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And that's like what it all started with for all of us.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. And it's super important to keep that. Yeah. So don't think that you always have to be making a certain sound because it's just a Mylo. True. And we're just naming you as a reference, but I think most of the...
I was going to say...
Am I being coached?
Yeah, exactly.
But this is, I think, for a lot of artists, and even for myself making music as well, it's very important to keep that constantly in my mind as well. Sometimes it's okay to just do different stuff as well.
Yeah. Sure. Tell us a little bit about your music. Where is it right now? Like, what are you planning from here? Or is it still too much of a playground?
Well, no, it's I've been started to work for myself again after working at Spinnin, and it's been almost a year, which is crazy to me. It's been going so fast, and I've started with the coaching and eventually I turned it a little bit into management, but I still do both. I also have a small publishing venture on the side together with Warner. But in the end, I think in the beginning of this year, I was still I'm still not super satisfied creatively, and I would still love to be more involved on that side as well, because that's where my passion started.
Yeah,
in
of course.
the beginning. I love helping other people. I love working with different artists, but in the end, it's also important for me to be creative and do some stuff. So I'm definitely working on some new music myself, and I want to present it to the world at a point where I feel like, all right, it's ready now, and we'll see what it will be then. But and I'm working on something. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's
I'm very excited about
Curious to hear.
Yeah, exactly. Although it made sense, for me to start doing some stuff again. This is the reason why I've started. This is basically my dream, and for me, I'm not like over obsessed again about being able to go on tour full time or anything, but just making music for me is important.
Right.
And also, I actually started as a DJ rather than a producer, just like you.
Yeah.
So I love DJing. So for me to be able to start doing some shows again, that's just a dream to come through. And
Bookers, you heard him.
exactly. Yeah. We'll see about all that. But
Alpha Rock back.
who knows?
Come back.
Who knows?
Yeah, and we were also just, since this is a talk also about coaching, of course, we were mentioning it just before this. We both feel very strongly it's important to be active in music, or at least close to the music, in order to keep the relevance of your coaching business, right?
Of course.
I have a team now with several extra coaches for my business, and all of them need to be, at least let's say 50% of the time they need to be producers, they need to be artists, and that works the best.
Your team is great. You have a bunch of great coaches, man.
Thanks, man.
Nice.
Also Herman Brood Academy again for a part. Yeah.
Oh, you mean
Alex?
Yeah. They came from the Herman Brood Academy.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And Alex actually was a teacher there for a while as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah. Well, I'm super happy that you're back in that business, man, because you've been away from it a little bit because of your own reasons, and for me, because you teach me for like a year, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and for me it was like you were my favorite teacher, and I'm not saying
Aww.
that because I'm next to you, but it's true, man. I've learned so much stuff from you. I actually switched from Fruity Loops to Logic, and I learned so much in 1 year that I controlled Logic way better than I did Fruity Loops. So, and I love your style of coaching, and so for me it was a shame that you left, but I'm happy that you're back working with people again, man. So it's good to have you back in the business.
Thanks, man. It means a lot.
No, of course.
Yeah.
Are we all Team Logic here?
Yes.
Yeah. If I'm producing, for sure.
I mean, that you don't see that a lot.
No.
Well, more and more, I get the idea. If someone like Phineas, like Billie Eilish's brother,
true.
if he is connected to Apple, he's like an advertisement for that, right?
True.
And during
Is he also actively working on Logic then?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Sick.
Actually, like the first album, most of the productions before they went to the final mix, or they have a final mix engineer. But before just the demos, they were almost exclusively Logic and only Logic plugins.
Oh,
like
wow. Yeah,
the
that's
vocal
crazy.
chain was Logic plugins.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's
Yeah.
sick. Yeah.
To the point again about rules, or you have to,
Yeah.
you have to do this, and you have to use, I don't know, FabFilter or RVox. No. Sure, there are some plugins and there is some
they're
stuff
10% better most likely for some things, but
And I was going to say also, for me, what was basically the best thing that came out of COVID was Disclosure doing live streams from their studio.
Oh, yeah.
So sick.
And Chris Lake as well. I'm not sure if you've seen those. It was insane, man.
So sick.
Yeah.
Also, like a lot of like stock Logic plugins.
Yeah.
Disclosure.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
The first album was only stock plugins and silent, I think.
Yeah.
Like that super thick bass from Latch. It's one of these tiny Logic synths.
Yeah, insane, man. Yeah.
Oh man, I got so inspired looking at that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Where did you get your inspiration from if you go into the studio now then?
just, I don't know, wherever. It's just like, I get this question sometimes, and I'm almost like, yeah, where do I actually get it from? But it's just, I don't know, it's just like a feeling. It's, there's not necessarily like a place or a thing or...
But if you play like a certain show or something, are you more excited to go into the studio the next day, or is it like, does it come up randomly when you're in the supermarket buying some random stuff or something?
No,
you know?
I think, it's pretty random for me. I mean, I do feed off shows, obviously, because during COVID, it made me feel like less inspired, not being able to DJ, and like, you're kind of like thinking, well, what am I making music for, actually? Obviously it gets me pumped to get into the studio, because in the end the goal for me is to be able to play stuff out live. So it's kind of more...
Is it because you started as a DJ? That's
probably. Yeah, probably.
And is it also, since you were mentioning that your biggest love in dance music is still like kind of emotionally laden? Is it also the case that sometimes you use emotion as a starting point, or is
absolutely?
Yeah.
Like, I think now my go-to thing nowadays is to just have like from Splice or wherever, like just in like an atmosphere, like just like that a drone kind of thing that just sets the mood, and then like make chords or I don't know, go into Serum and like make a sound.
Exactly.
That's probably my go-to thing now to get a song started.
Exactly the same, man, for sure.
I don't know if this has been mentioned in earlier episodes of this, but maybe it's also interesting to talk a little bit about the writing process. I mean, I know we just talked about this, like you worked with some amazing writers and singers. I think there's a different type of inspiration going on in such an environment quite often.
Absolutely.
Because all of a sudden it's about lyrics. Yeah. One of the aspects.
Yeah, I mean, to be very honest, like I'm not the greatest lyric writer, but it's you know, you get into the studio with people and there's always this usual small talk kind of thing before you get started, and you just like, you know, you just talk about what's been going on in everyone's life.
Exactly.
And it does kind of like set like the mood or like a feeling of like what you want to be doing today or what you want to be like writing about.
But isn't that beautiful that you just sit in a room talking about what is going on with you, Mark, and then you write a song about it, and how more relevant can that be towards your life? You know, it's insane.
Yeah, like singers crying while recording, stuff like that. That's such a great thing to have in the studio.
It's the biggest fulfilling feeling.
Yeah.
Like always, like when I drive off, like after a writing session, I'm like so pumped. Like I'm just like literally, even if the drive is like an hour long, I'm just have that song on repeat for an hour. Like that's just the feeling what it's all about. I feel like.
Yeah. That was so special for me to discover indeed that most of the writing goes like that. Like, oh man, I'm going through this breakup or whatever, and then the song is about that, and I love that. Like you said, also like the connection there. Yeah. And I always say, like, if you can connect to the music yourself, that's a really good predictor that other people will be able to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
It's a whole different dimension than sitting in the studio and just making synths and melodies. That's also emotion, but being able to tell a story literally with words adds like another dimension to it, I would say.
For sure.
Yeah.
I feel like we could go on for another hour, but I guess we have to wrap up at some point.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So I want to say thank you to you guys for being here. I mean, so inspiring.
Man. Yeah.
Thanks for inviting us, man.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Man.
Love it.
Second time. Looking forward towards the third one.
Boom.
Third already.
Should we set a date?
This was second, so.
That. Yeah. Okay, cool.
We'll set a date after.
Yeah. Nice.
See you guys later. Thank you for tuning in again, and take care.
Cheers.
Boom.